and welcome to episode 7 of And Steve Talk Stuff. We have gone from monthly to weekly because, well, let's face it, everything else has changed in the world. So why not change the rate at which we release these podcasts? How are you, Steve?
I'm good. I'm leaning into this new routine. It feels like I'm working far more.
Okay.
It feels like it's because I'm physically in the same place. Academics, there's a kind of an image that academics spend all their time like just in an office beavering away, but actually it's a very, very social activity. And so the fact that I'm physically located, in my spare room talking to you from an ironing board is it's just a bit different. And I think all of the kind of personal contacts that sort of make the university work, they're now all happening on sort of Skype, Zoom, Teams, Signal, WhatsApp, name the thing. So, like everyone else, I'm kind of not like everyone else. I think I have to recognize that it's a very privileged position I'm in. That I can work from home. Of course. And so that's, it's an important point to make, right? Is that I can work from home. I am adjusting. The kids are adjusting too. Interestingly, the kids have awarded themselves a 4-day work week.
I'm very proud of them.
So I know, right? They have a quantum of work, schoolwork that they need to get through, and they were like, "We could just get through this in 4 days and then take the 5th day off. What do you think?" And I was like, "That's fine. That's completely fine. That's why would I be like, no, you must do 9 to 5 minutes? No. Okay, I'm not going to let them play like Grand Theft Auto for 8 hours on the Friday, right? Yeah.
Or ever preferably.
Ever, because it's a terrible game. It's a terrible game. It's a terrible game. It is a terrible game. Yeah.
Well, no,
my oldest guy has a Sorry, go on.
I'm just saying I'm very proud of them for organising and getting themselves together and realising this work can be done in this amount of time, which is what we've been talking about. Is like, I think it's quite interesting that we have started this podcast about imagining different types of worlds, imagining different types of way of operating, and here we are in the middle of a big snowball shake change of everything, and here your kids are responding by going, we can get the work done, so why not?
Yeah, why not? And we're doing these things where being housebound, they're being creative while also being housebound. So there's this guy, his name is I keep getting his name wrong. I keep calling him John Wick. His name is not John Wick because that's the murdering lad on the telly. No, his name is Joe Wick. And what this guy Joe, he's very different from John Wick, but this, and I'm helping out with their
one second
session, 9 to 9:30 every morning.
Just go back 1 second there, Stephen, because let's face it, technology is a new thing. We're recording this through something else again today, and we lost the last sentence of what you just said, or I lost it.
Crap. Okay, so
sorry.
So what we're doing?
Joe Wick.
No worries. So this guy basically, he just said, I will live stream a 30-minute PE session every morning. 9 to 9:30, and I'll do it on YouTube, and we'll all do it live, and like 1 million people are signing up to do this, and it's a really great idea. So everyone's getting a little bit of fitness in the middle of the day, because that's what they weren't. They were kind of sitting around before that. So I think we are adapting to this new routine rather quickly. And I was writing today on the currency.news that I was like, I wonder how many of these changes are going to stick, right? So there's this guy, his name was Carl Polanyi, and he wrote a book in 1944 called The Great Transformation. He talked a lot about how the market society, it's the idea that you are a worker and you go to work and earn money, and that you buy a house and then you raise some kids and then they go and work, that thing. It basically changed. It didn't just. It's not just a different way of doing society. It's a different way of being a human. Mm-hmm. And it's a really profound book, and he talks about this great transformation of what it means. And he says, like, your beliefs, what you believe about the world, is completely anchored in the economic system that you live in, right? And it's a really interesting point. So if you just imagine what an Uber driver believes about the world, right?
Yeah.
and a public servant believes around the world. Like, it's just there are a different set of incentives, right? And now we're in a situation where the economy is effectively on life support. The government has injected a lot of money in to help lots and lots of people. It's done a fantastic job, genuinely fantastic job in doing that. And we are having to really focus on the non-economic parts of our life, right? Mm-hmm. Like our economic selves have been kind of stripped away from us. They've been paused somewhat, and we've been had to, so then there's all these people who are like staring at their families going, who are you? What do you do again? I have 3 children, and it's and the busyness of our lives has just gone away.
Yeah.
I have a very good friend who has a more than 2-hour commute. That's gone, right?
Yeah.
So he's just been given 4 extra hours in the day, with which to do what?
Yeah.
And people that his job is now to homeschool his kids, mind his parents, clean his house. Play games with his kids. So they're playing a board game every night and all this. And it's, I said, like, how are you getting on? He says, it's driving me crazy, but I'm actually really enjoying just hanging out with kids. It's really nice. We have on post, the post men and women have decided that their job, in addition to delivering our stuff, in addition to delivering our, our mint edition Dungeons and Dragons dice, or whatever, which we absolutely need in a pandemic.
Absolutely.
They're deciding that they're going to check in on the people in our society who need it most. So it's this really interesting moment, and the question is, how much of it is going to stay? I like to imagine that the whole world just got injected with a small dose of OCD. Like we've just been dosed. We
think so.
Just been dosed with OCD. So we're all kind of looking at each other, going, "Did you wash your hands? Did you wash your hands? Did you wash your hands? Did you wash your hands?" And like everyone's like, "Look at my hands; they're red raw. Jesus, I'm already done." And there are all these profound changes. Gastroenterologists, demand for gastroenterologist services have gone through the floor, not because people are scared to go into hospital, because they're washing their hands more.
Okay.
If anybody who does events, needs to rethink their world. Obviously, anybody who does higher education, completely different situation. And like, are we going to go back to standing in a lecture hall going blah blah blah? Like maybe, but also maybe not. I'm interested in maybe we have like another Pollyannian great transformation coming.
Well, I think this is the thing. Like, can we?
To the Pope. No?
The other thing is like we now have a 1-tier healthcare system, something we were told we couldn't have, and hey presto, under severe circumstances it's happened. I mean, what do you think? Is that gonna last, or?
No, it can't last. And the reason it can't last is because it's so phenomenally expensive to do it. So we didn't nationalize the hospitals. What we're doing is paying the hospitals. We're paying private hospitals to be public hospitals for a while, and that's grand. And they're going to do a great job. The doctors in there are really good, and all that. The food's probably better, and the all that stuff. But like fundamentally, like to support this, we're going to spend an extra 300 million quid a week to do all these changes. So childcare workers and the everybody. Like we're saving businesses. We're making sure that the self-employed are okay, which the UK still haven't figured out. We're making sure that that the health system is going to do its thing. And there's a giant shipment of personal protective equipment going to land in a day or two. It's going to basically just sort us out for years to come. So the question is, can we do that indefinitely? The answer is no, unless we're all willing to pay a lot more in tax. A lot more. A lot. So essentially there's I was going to say there are 2.3 million people working in this economy, and there are not. I don't know how many people are working in this economy. We'll know on the 30th of March, actually.
Okay.
But I do not know how many people are working in this economy. The unemployment rate is going to go up. We don't know by how much.
We're talking.
We'll know.
Yeah, because we were talking pretty much a week ago. We were talking on the 18th. Today is the 26th that we're recording this. And yeah, we were kind of roughly estimating maybe it could be 50%, or it could be, and this, I suppose, and this is why we've upped the frequency of the episodes, because everything's changing so rapidly. I mean, even I have some figures here. On the 18th, there were 438 cases of COVID-19 in Ireland. There's now 1,564 confirmed. There's going to be more tonight. There was 1 or 2 deaths, and there's now 9. And it's that everything's changing so rapidly, and obviously it's very scary. And we said last week, those conversations are two a penny, the scary conversations. And I think what this space is about, us talking stuff, is of course we don't know what it's going to be like, but I suppose being a bit kind of cold and fascinated and experimental and looking at this like a big laboratory, what possible, let's say if this all ended in 2 months' time, for example, what could be anything we could expect to come out of this?
So I don't think it'll end in 2 months.
No, I don't either.
Yeah, in my mind, I can see us getting back to something approaching normal on the 1st of September. Right. And that won't look normal either, because, there's talk about the Leaving Cert basically being done in August or September, and the university's coming back in November, that kind of thing, So it won't feel normal for quite some time. I've seen, and it won't look normal for lots of businesses, because they will either have shut or they'll be working on a very, very restricted rota. So, for example, it's also modeling in the hospitality sector, which said that it's going to take 62 weeks for a business, for just a cafe or something, to basically get back to the financial position that they were in before the crisis. So, we're gonna. So it's going to feel weird for a while, and there's going to be all these weird second order and third order effects. So a really simple example is universities. Basically, I think the average person imagines that the universities are paid for by taxes, and that is true, but it's only 50%. Only 50% of the income of a university comes from the state. The other 50% comes from private sources like international students and philanthropy and industrial funding and whatever. So that's all gone, right? So international students, that's going to be we are going to see a situation where obviously the industrial sort of people aren't going to pay up, and it's going to be quite a different situation, right? So that's a big thing in the university sector, but that's only one example of second order effects. They're not directly affected necessarily, but just by dint of this being a giant crisis, they're affected, and you're going, oh my god, what does this mean if you just translate that out across the economy? It just means that people are going to spend a lot longer returning to some kind of normal. And then the question is, what is that normal? Because I don't think it's the normal that existed in February, right? I think it's going to be a little bit different. I think the idea of my mate driving 2 hours each way, imagine a situation where people get used to the idea, because it's been 2 or 3 months of we do a board game every night, and we're doing exercise in the morning. You got a very healthy lifestyle, right? It's a very good thing. Or you're in a household where none of that's true, right? Where maybe the relationship between the parents isn't the best, or you have a lot more caring to do. In both cases, it's more intense, right? In both cases, it's more intense. But
I'm so sorry for that noise. Sorry about that. I forgot to put my phone on silent. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm mortified. Okay. Sorry, you were making mortified. As you were making a really serious point, Stephen. I apologize.
No.
As you were saying.
It's all good. What was I saying?
You're saying about the family where maybe the situation is not positive.
So it's an intensification of the social part of life, right? The non-market part of life, and it is far more intense. And in some cases, it's going to be really, really good for people, and they're not going to want to go back. And in some cases, it's going to be really bad for people, right? So if you're in a household where there's some kind of abuse going on, or where you just have people who are a lot more worried, right? Got to acknowledge that the level of background anxiety in society is a lot higher. I see people out running now, and they've never run once in their lives, but they're out running. And I'm thinking, why are you running? There is no marathon for which you must train. Why are you running? And the answer is you need to get out and get away from people. And sometimes, that's fine. You need space. You need to clear your head. That's totally cool. But in other cases, I would imagine, I just think those two kind of case studies, the two scenarios, are, they're on the social side of things. They're quite interesting.
I know I know myself and Jenny are at a point where we were kind of going for a walk together every day, and now we're like, maybe we'll, go for separate walks.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's
it's like,
fine, sure.
We're in the house together. Maybe my walk can be at a different time to yours, or so.
And that's fine.
Yes, of course.
And that's fine.
But are just in case people have been lying awake at night worried, my shed has finally.
Tell us about your shed. We can move now. Because so tell us the story of the shed, and tell us the saga. Shed saga.
It's so fascinating. People are just going to be glued to their earphones.
Everyone, coronavirus and the large scale, reorganization of society. That's fine. That's fine, Anne Blake. That's fine. Yes. But also sheds. Okay.
Sheds.
So now, sheds. Tell
sheds.
us. Okay. Take if people haven't listened to the podcast before, explain why the shed has acquired such mythic Mjolnir-like significance in, frankly, all of our lives. Cian too. We're all, you send us all a text saying, "Oh my God, it's here." I was working. I was actually on a totally different call. I got your text, and I was like, "Yes!" People were like, "What? What's wrong, Stephen?" I was like, "It would take too long to explain." My friend just got a shed, and they're like, That's got nothing to do with this, crisis situation we're dealing with. I was like,
I think it's kind of sad that it came to an end.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Cian.
Are you sad, Cian? Are you sad that it's over?
It was just something to look forward to.
It's not over. It's not over. So tell us the story of the shed while I've maximally bigged it up.
I know. It's people are just going to be talking about this for years to come. Basically, we in our house
run tours into it when it's over.
Oh, what's that?
I said we can run tours into it when
I know.
It's over,
If my Wi-Fi was strong enough in the garden, I would have broadcast from there. Basically, we have needed a shed for some time, and because of the kind of house we have, doesn't really have a garage or that, and there's a shovel in the utility room, and just stuff that should not be in a house is in the house. And anyway, a shed was on the cards for quite some time, and then my wife Jenny decided to run for election, and then that was it. There was no shed coming at all. Shed. And then we were like, okay, the election's over, life's getting back to normal, coming into the spring, want to reorganize our house, time to get the shed. So we ordered the shed. And then the coronavirus kicked in. Well, it was kicking in for a while, but suddenly we were looking at lockdown. And that was the word on everyone's lips. And we had paid for half, and we had a date, and we were so excited. And then this, businesses are going to have to close that aren't essential. But we're like, our shed is essential. I really hope that's an essential service. And thankfully,
shed delivery services. Yeah.
We are not in lockdown as of now, which time of recording, which is the 26th of March. That might be different when you're listening to this or when this goes out. But thankfully, yesterday, the 25th of March, the shed arrived and is in my garden. And I just can't wait to put all the shit from my house into the shed. My life's going to be better. I've decided everything's going to be fine. All the stuff I just put on the long finger.
So what's the square footage of your house? Like, how big is your house? No, look, seriously. Like, because what I want to do is...
I don't know.
So you don't know how big your house is?
No, of course I don't. I mean,
What do you mean you don't know how big your house is?
Okay, is that a normal thing to know?
It's a completely normal thing to do. Cian, how big is your house?
I don't know how big my house is.
Thank you.
Jesus
Cian.
Christ.
See, this is
Cian's
normal
like,
humans.
I totally know how big my house is.
What
we could do is... What we could do, you still should know how much space you're renting.
I have enough.
You know, have you not computed the price per square foot or square meter or whatever?
No, there's enough for me and the dog. I'm happy.
Enough. So so that's a perfect example of what's called satisficing. So you don't want to maximize your living space or whatever. You're just happy with what you've got a certain thing and you're satisfied and that's all good. Enough for you and the dog. Happy days. So the reason is and like your living area has just expanded by some percentage.
Yes.
Right? Is it 10% bigger, 20% bigger, 30% bigger? This is an interesting question, right?
Yes, for
it's
people
an interesting question
with brains like yours.
It's a really interesting question. So the reason it's really interesting, right? The reason it's really interesting is the price per square foot for the shed is far lower than the price per square foot of like your kitchen, right? Because obviously it's not insulated, whatever. But you can actually buy specific sheds that are kitted out like offices, right? And they cost more, but not like that much more, right? Like like seriously, not that much more. And I looked at this recently, inspired by your shed, by the saga of your shed. I thought, wouldn't it be great if I too had a shed, but which would hold, instead of shovels,
yes,
would hold Stevens, so I could move all my books and shit outside into the back garden, and then my wife would be rid of me. Happy days.
Yes. Well,
And it turns out
a friend of mine is trying to do that at the moment because her fella is at home working from home, and they now realize we need an office. And I'm sure a lot of people are in the same situation as you. I need a space that isn't in the house. Anyway, I interrupted you. You said
no. But I'm really interested in this because what we want to do in our lives is kind of have a bigger space or have a much more efficient space, and use things in different ways. And this is an idea of like using our back garden, which we basically, the only thing we do essentially is grow weeds in our back garden and store rusting bicycles. So it would be great if we could use it more efficiently. And I was saying, wouldn't it be brilliant? And then my wife was like, "Will you be gone soon? Because I'm sick of you." And I was like, "Yes, brilliant." But it turns out that actually this it's not called.
Oh, we've lost you there a second.
It's really, really popular.
We lost.
So it's like I said, the internet is not our
the
friend
internet
anymore.
So if you just go back, you were just about to say something really important about the nature of the space in the back garden.
Yeah, it's the nature. It's in the nature of our existence that we want larger amounts of space, or maybe more efficiently used space. So and we want a nicer space, and that's why I think that in the future, IKEA will become a religious experience. Let me elaborate. So,
I kind of feel it is already a bit.
Yeah, I feel like what it really is like it's basically just stress testing for marriages, actually, because you can see people going, "Oh, I don't know if I'm happy anymore." By the end of it, people need a meatball break in the middle,
Nice
just to be like, and then they get an ice cream at the end, like, well done.
Well, what did you mean by a religious experience? Okay,
so when you walk around a church and you see sort of sometimes they're paintings, but often they're friezes, or they might be like almost dioramas, and it's just Christ on his journey. The
Stations of the Cross.
The Stations of the Cross, yeah. So and that idea of what you're doing is you're being brought through this kind of journey, right? And it's obviously an elemental journey of pain and then redemption and then being brought back, right? But that idea if you just think about that for a second and you transpose it to an IKEA shop, right? You're being brought through, now obviously without the torture and the death, but you're being brought through these dioramas. And like, this is your kitchen. This is a kitchen that you could have with all the stuff, and it's nice and it's green, and and then this is your living room. Look at this diorama lifestyle. And it's like the Stations of the Cross, It's the same idea. And I was thinking, if we become more and more and more consumerist, then IKEA will become our church. It'll be like this religious experience. So IKEA as a religious experience, I know people who go there and they want to go there and they find the dioramas comforting because they're like, this is our idealized lifestyle. Whereas I find the entire process extraordinarily frustrating. Like I will only go under protest with a defined list. I will buy the list and I literally time myself to get out of there because I don't want to be part of the diorama experience. But I know people who do, they really like it. And,
do you not get glamoured and like, oh, we totally need that stylized toilet brush that is shaped like a swan or whatever, just drawn in.
Glamoured by a toilet brush. That's awesome.
I must have it. Well, I could do I've actually only been to IKEA once, and this really strong memory about walking along with Jenny, and as you say, it's stress testing for marriages. Everyone's a little bit, I want, let's go. Everything's just a little bit tense and passive aggressive. And then there was this soundtrack along with us, this squeaking. And, it was kind of gently adding to the anxiety and the fury. And it's like, what is that? And we realized we kind of fallen in step with the family. And the child was wearing shoes that were toys that squeaked on every step.
Oh, my God.
In IKEA. Like,
oh, my God.
If it's a church, could that be a mortal sin? Could that be?
Oh my God!
We just, we said we're going to hang in this random kitchen.
Who buys that?
And brings them walking for 2 hours around IKEA, around other humans like us. What about what they're doing to themselves? Like I had to be there with them, and so we we just fell out of step with it. Like we just said, let's hang around this kitchen a little bit longer and they'll be gone. But squeaky toy shoes.
And then you bought a new kitchen. And that's how I bought this new kitchen.
It was actually IKEA marketing. They sent the child in,
Yeah. Deploy the irritators, okay, and you go,
But yes, it's a funny, I remember many years ago, during Celtic Tiger, a friend of mine saying, he said, what do people do on Sunday? They go to B&Q. They go, like, that's the new mass. So he was onto a similar kind of thing. It was more about that's what our Sundays are now. They're not church. They're consumerist or whatever.
They're consumers. But of course, the church is the consumerist experience, and always has been. There's a donation idea, and there's a thing that you are consuming there. But it is really interesting. One of the books that has been propping up my laptop on my ironing board is this book. It's called A History of the Bible, and it's a really, really, really good book by John Barton. It's very academic-y, but it's really interesting that this thing that was constructed, like it is a constructed object. It's a profound meditation as well, but it's also something it's a very political document, and it's fascinating. It is fascinating because when I was living in Australia, I did this thing where I decided to compare world religions, and it was really, really interesting. How the faiths evolve, how they influence each other, so it's cool. So I've kind of had this like side interest in kind of understanding this, because if you want to understand society, you have to understand belief, and there's no better place to find a study of belief than a 2,000-year-old experiment that's been run in multiple contexts by thousands of people, and
actually,
is
that's an interesting thing. Like, out of all this, I mean, churches are closed. People can't go to mass anymore. I know from my dad, I'm feeling it because my dad is now living on his own and loves church, loves prayer meetings, and all that has stopped for him. I mean, I know this isn't quite an economics, but it's a social question. I mean, what is the fallout from all this going to be? Do you think, like, just hypothesizing?
So I think for your dad, my hope would be that the churches will reopen.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like there were Protestant churches in the UK that have been worshipping continuously since the 12th century. And they closed. So like,
wow.
Like, it's really serious. It shows how serious the whole thing is.
And the Irish pubs closed.
Yes, but the off licenses didn't.
But sorry, whatever about your 12th century church, whatever about that, the pubs are closed. Yeah. No. It's the context of the catastrophe and the apocalypse, But I
think they did. It was interesting as a signal. So if you watch kind of, Tonight with John Oliver or any of these kind of talk shows, they're like, the coronavirus, it's so serious, Ireland shut its pubs the day before Paddy's Day. Really? And people are like, oh, okay, yeah, they're taking it seriously. And it has been interesting, actually, talking with colleagues in the UK as well about, like, just how seriously we've taken it and how kind of well we've done.
I think so.
But and yet the hit that comes from it. But the idea of your dad, I mean, I would really hope that first off that he gets to worship in an online way. Is he that techie? Can he
not really
do stuff?
Can
you just
really.
Like lower a sanitized iPad down a chimney at him or something?
Well, do you know what's happening is, my dad he's a retired philosophy lecturer, so he has a friend who's calling to him, and they're walking at a distance and talking stuff like we talk stuff, and that's what he needs. He doesn't.
Grand.
We're all chipping in, but I suppose I'm conscious of a lot. He's one example of a person who gets a lot of their social and spiritual needs met, and what the churches, what are they going to look like after this? Are they going to be more online, or I mean, I know this is all we do is hypothesize. Sure, we're in the middle of this and reimagine, but I do wonder what that's all going to look like when as you said, we're approximating normal, whatever date that happens.
We'll just pick the pews, right? So the pews are they're really ancient thing. So pews, so literally sitting together, and pews are not typically privileged, right? So the idea is, during a funeral or during a wedding, like a special occasion, the pew ordering is privileged. You get the celebrants, the mourners, and so forth. They go up the front.
Yeah.
But most of the rest of the time, it's just first come. You could be rich, you could be poor, whatever.
First come get the back seats.
First come get the lads down at the back with the arms closed, all that. But chatting away at the back, like old school kids. But that thing of the egalitarianism of it is fantastic. But that other thing of we're all sitting together on the pews. Think about the offering each other the sign of peace, right?
Mm-hmm.
How's that going to work? It's like, offer each other the elbow of peace.
Did you not see there was a headline, like, long before this, we even had a case in Ireland. There was a headline I shared that, coronavirus update, people to stop doing the sign of peace at Mass.
Wow. I actually think that's the best bit.
No, it is.
I really think it's the best bit.
So, and I did happen to be at a Mass in that period of time, and we all had to wave at each other. It was surreal.
Offer each other the Vulcan greeting of peace, Okay, sure.
Communion is only going to be like nothing on the tongue and all this stuff. So
yeah, sure. So we're being mildly injected with OCD. Right?
We are, and I'm very conscious now of time because we are going weekly. We probably are going a little shorter on the episodes because you're a busy man, Stephen.
I have there are many different sets of students to bore on the internet, and there's all these projects are just running.
Well, I tell you, we'll probably talk again probably next week.
Sure,
and
hopefully.
Hopefully,
Why don't we do something where, so we're given a space, okay? We've all been given a space. Why don't we think about ways we use the space creatively, or creatively or not destructively,
Whatever.
Also, I want to hear about the shed and maybe see some pictures.
I'm going to keep the updates coming. I'll keep I'll tweet them for the listeners.
Are you going to do like a diorama, like an IKEA diorama for this could be your shed? Oh my god, that'd be amazing.
Okay. If I ever get that organised, 100%.
Awesome. Okay,
listen, Stephen, lovely to chat to you. And
see you later.
Bye bye.
No worries. Good luck. Bye.
You have been listening to Anne and Steve Talk Stuff, a Limerick Post podcast produced by Cian Reinhardt, theme tune composed and performed by David Blake. Follow Stephen Kinsella on Twitter at Stephen Kinsella, he's a Stephen with a PH, Anne Blake at Anne Blake 78, she is an Anne with no E, and the Limerick Post at Limerick Post. If you have any questions, you can get to any of these Twitter accounts or follow the hashtag AnneSteveTalk.